Hi, this is Mike with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this is Wednesday, August the 8th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and you can kind of see here's today's price action between this line and this line, and you can see we pretty much had a two-legged correction here during the day, and the trend was really up for the day. This was an uptrend. And we really, here the open was right in here, and you can see we really trended up from the open. And I got it's interesting because I got several emails from it was more than one person today, all saying they kind of struggled today and had a hard time. But what'll happen is, if I look at what they do, or if they tell me where they're looking to enter, they always seem to be either counter trend trading, are entering long at the highs or entering short at the lows and things like that. And so you got to remember that, this is, the open was right here, and this is your price action through 1 o'clock right in here. Well, that's the majority of the day. We're trending up, and that right there is very, very bullish. And the only reason I marked this short up here was because I took it myself, and I'll explain to you why I took that trade. But I don't recommend that you take counter trend trades unless you are really good with the price action. And I told one of our traders that today because he said he's just had a really tough week. And, but the thing is, he's getting short down here and he's getting long up here and things like that. And that's part of the reason, that trader needs to understand until you stick with the rules, don't counter trend trade, stay with the trend, and that would have helped you, because this is the first break of this trend line. As you look here, prices went higher back to try to test this high. They couldn't do it, but they're trying, and they may do it yet. But that may be good enough to say they tested the highs, and that's all it can do. We may sell off from here because this could be just a correction, and we may get another leg down like this. So in fact, this might actually be the original trend line right here, or even maybe like that right there. And this is the first break, and then we did have a new high and tried to sell off. But I really don't think that's the case, because prices turn to the tick right here off of this, and that's a good 45-degree angle, which is what you're looking for. And so I believe this is it. And actually this line is, oops, wrong line. This line right here is just a clone of that line, and you drag it up here. And originally I had it right in there, but that's probably it right there. So there's your highs right there. And I'll explain to you why I took this short in a minute. But I also had another trader that contacted me, and they got fooled right here, and I'm thinking it's probably because they sorry, I had an interruption there, and I cannot remember where we were. I think we were talking about right this. Yeah, somebody sent me an email, and they asked about, they said they took this short here, this second entry short, and it failed, and they want to know if this was a good short. And first thing I wrote back is, no, it's not a good short. And let me explain to you why. Actually, if you use the first couple of swings of the overnight, I believe your trend line is really either this or this, and either way you get your trend line breaking a couple of moves down. This is more probably the right angle right here, and so we really had a trend line break in a couple of moves. So that was one thing, but you may not have caught that, and I wasn't exactly sure that it wasn't coming off these highs right here myself, because if you draw it like this, then this looks like a great place for a setup. So you could have gotten fooled there, and I understand that. And but I was actually trading here at this point, and I didn't get fooled. And let me tell you why I didn't get fooled, and hopefully it'll make sense and you won't get caught in this. You always hear me talking about congestion. Don't enter in congestion. And this is congestion. Look at, I don't know, I'm assuming your chart had to look similar. Even if it doesn't look exactly the same, there had to be a lot of overlapping bars and at least a doji in there. And that is your signal. That's why I didn't go short there, because I'm thinking, hey, if I go short here, I'll get trapped. And sure enough, what happened? It was a trap. But you don't want to be going long either in case this is the trend line. So you need to, and this is right at the, that's another thing. This is right at the open. Let me see exactly. I forget which bar. I think it was this bar right here where, yeah, the market opened on this doji right here. And so the market was just opening right here. And they almost always have a little something that fakes everybody out and gets everybody going wrong. So it's just not an ideal time to be entering. I like to, unless there's a great trap that's real easy to spot or something right at the open, I prefer to let the market, wait 5 or 10 minutes and then start seeing what the market's doing. And, it just was not a good time to enter, but mainly, even if it wasn't for those reasons, the fact that you have all these overlapping bars and you got to enter below a doji, it did break up and fail and turn back down, but because it was at the open with all these other overlaps, it just was not a good time to be entering. If it wasn't at the open, I could even back off of that and say, hey, I could still see how you got trapped there because it would be easy. But look at this entry right here. Look at the difference in that setup and this setup. I mean, hopefully you can see the difference there. You don't have all these overlapping bars, and the bar closed almost on its low, one tick off its low, and so that's a great setup. And you've had a bearish bar in here. You just had this one move up, but you don't have that here. You traded up here and you just kind of went into a little trading range that chopped around, and you got to be thinking that at some point the market is going to break the trend line, and you've kind of been following that line since yesterday afternoon, and since it is right at the open, that would be a good chance for them to get the emotions to drive it up, and then maybe we start back down again or whatever. But that's why I didn't take that trade, and that's why I wouldn't have taken that trade. And hopefully not all of you got tricked there, but it's possible some of you did. What I recommend is that you don't trade the open until you get a lot of experience at it, because it's designed, it's real emotional right then. The good thing about the early part of the trading day is there are a lot of weak traders there, a lot of inexperienced traders, and when you get more into the afternoon, you tend to get your more experienced traders. So something to think about there. But don't take that open and move. Let the market get 5 minutes or 10 minutes into the trading day and get rid of some of those opening market emotions, and then start looking for a trade. So I didn't mark any of these other trades simply because there's a lot of overlap. This was a very bullish move, so you got to be thinking another leg, and we did try to make another leg up and then failed. And again, by the time you got a chance to go short here, it's way back down here near the EMA and these lows, and it just wasn't a good setup. And then we went into all these overlapping bars that looked kind of like this, and so you didn't really want to be going long there. There was a short trap here, and if you could have taken that long, it would have worked, but it's not a great setup, so I didn't mark it. And I did mark this one simply because we had all this resistance across here, and we broke above it and failed. And it's a little bitty doji at the far end, and that would have been a good trade. And there was definitely a good long here, because now we came down here and, we came down here and we had this little failed break lower, and we had a double bottom here too. Notice this trap, prices broke down. We tried to go higher. They broke down again and failed and turned up and closed on their very high. So this is a great place to go long. I'll be honest with you, I bought this blindly myself, and because we had a little two-legged move, and I knew we were going to get a bounce back here, and so I just bought it blindly. When we broke lower and turned back up, I just dropped an order in there and got filled. And look at this move. This was a great move, and any runners would have been safe if you're scalping in and out and doing the runners. This was just a perfect setup, and you got to be thinking a measured leg at the minimum, and a measured leg is going to look something like that. And you draw that up there, and there's your measured leg right in there, and you really probably could have drawn it to here as well. Oops. You never can grab the one you want. I don't know why. But anyway, there's your first leg, and there's your second one. Anyway you do it, we overshot it, but I really think this was probably your first leg, and that's what I used. and I measured that up. So I exited right in here. When we got this little bar right here, I exited, I can't remember if I exited on this bar coming up or this one, but anyway, I exited right in here where I thought, actually I might have measured mine. I think I played it real conservative. Measured it off that leg and then drug this over here. Yeah, I exited right in here somewhere. And you see I missed a couple of points, but still, all the same, I got most of that move right there, and that was a great trade. And then I was looking for a possible short, and I'll tell you why I like this short. Well, first of all, I drew my trend line like this, and I think I had it like this to begin with. And so we had overshot that line, and we had all these overlapping bars. Look how far away from the EMA we are. So I figured if it broke higher and turned down, that's a great place to go short. And so when this bar broke higher than this bar and didn't go anywhere, that was really telling. That was a tell there that led me to believe we weren't going much higher. Otherwise, generally, when you get a breakout bar like that and the next bar breaks above it, if it don't take off, not always, but when you're overdone like this, you got to figure we're coming back at least to the EMA. And so then so this was a great short that I took. So I marked it just for that reason. But it's counter trend trading, excuse me. And I don't recommend that for traders that are not very experienced. But then you measure that leg and drag it over here. And so this is where I exit on this one. And lo and behold, everything overshot today. And so I left another point or two on the table, but you can't always get all the move anyway. And so if you get a couple of, if you got most of two legs, and you did pretty good. But you definitely should have been thinking when it came back here again, if it bounced, that you're going long. And so there was a nice long right here. And you didn't get any runners this time because, hey, it was, they were working it lower. And they did break the trend line. But now let me show you this. You got leg one. And you got to figure that leg two, and look, there's almost a perfect measured move. So this is a great long setup here. And I had a trader tell me they went short right here. And I know why. They saw a two-legged pullback to the EMA. And generally, it's almost always good for at least a scalp. But the problem is this was an uptrend, and it was a counter-trend trade, and it didn't have the momentum that it needed, and it just trapped everybody, and then they ran up another leg. So now you got two legs up, and then look, it made two legs down, and the market just keeps doing two legs in each direction, and they're not always measured legs, and they're not always exactly like you expect, but most of the time they are. And so anyway, there was a great long here, a great long here, and this is just the second entry off this and a higher low. And you really, by that time, you would have had this line going right across here. And notice too, what else this is? This is a breakout. We broke above this, pulled back, and we tested it. And we tested it a couple of times before prices worked higher again. But the thing is, this was an uptrend from the open, because we opened in here, and the market has been trending up all day long, almost till until the lunch hour. So you got to figure a break of this trend line is going to send you higher and not lower. And we could have gone lower, but the odds are with you to be thinking long in here. And so every time the prices pulled back to this line, I was thinking long. Of course, I was done trading by this time. I didn't take these trades. But I'm talking to the traders that did and got caught on the wrong side. Definitely you shouldn't be going short here. Look how far away from the EMA you are. You got a failed break below this low here on this breakout pullback area. It's two measured legs. There's every reason to be thinking back to the EMA, and that's exactly what I went back to the EMA, bounced off it, and you almost always get resistance at the EMA, even if it's only temporary. And that's what this was. This was temporary resistance, and you don't want to be going short in here because we're down here low where the strong support is. So you got to be, it's not a good place to be going low unless it's a downtrend. And this is an uptrend, not a downtrend, so you're thinking long. So you want to be looking for bounces, and there it is right there. And look at that nice bullish reversal bar, open way down here, closed on its high, go long right there. That's an easy scalp, easy money. And that's all you got out of it, because they came back and got the runners. If you didn't exit at least here, you had another chance here, but when it didn't go any higher, you definitely should have exited there. And that's it for today. There were not a lot of entries today. There's some other setups in here, but they're not good ones. Here's a failed entry, second entry long coming off this low here that trapped everybody, but it was really risky because we just came off the trend line and it's uptrend, so it's not a good trade, and it would have worked. But then here's the next one you take and it doesn't work. So it's just too risky. It's not worth it. You're better off to wait for these spots or wait for the support, strong support and stuff like that. So here, even if you didn't have the trend line, which you wouldn't have probably had that yet. I didn't take this trade because of the trend line, because I didn't have that on there yet. I took this trade because it bounced off this strong support and had a little trap down here, and that's why I went long there. Actually, I bought it blindly, so I was just buying it on the fact that I knew we were going to bounce right there. Strong support. The trend has been up. We're in a trading range. We got this little overlap. We're below the EMA, so there's a little bit of room right there. And if you enter, right down here, then you got room to scalp out, because the EMA was actually back here at that point, and it worked out great. Could it have failed? Yeah, but the odds were, we would go back up and test these highs, and you see that's where it found resistance, back up at those highs. And notice how easily it flowed up almost till it got to that point, and that's where it found the resistance. But it worked through it, and man, then it really took off, because then everybody's thinking, all the people that were waiting to see what was going to happen, they're thinking, hey, I better get on board. We're going to make another leg up. And you can see they start exiting right in here on a measured leg from this, but it still went even higher than that. And I got a little nervous when these 4 bars right here, it seemed like it took them forever to complete. And I'm starting to think, hey, this thing may shoot higher yet. And I'm thinking I may have made a mistake going short up here, but it worked out. And but again, I'm going to start talking about these kind of trades, because I truly believe that people see me do it and it looks so easy, and they try to do it and it just causes them to make mistakes. So I'm probably going to quit showing those kind of trades and just sticking to what the rules say, and only showing you trades that go by the rules, because guaranteed as soon as I show that, somebody else thinks they can do it. And it's not that it's hard to do or whatever, but you need experience to do that. You shouldn't be counter trend trading on a trend day. And at this point, this was definitely a long trend day. Look how strong that move is. That's risky doing that, but you see it paid off well, because it was a nice, easy move back down. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Hopefully, not everybody had a bad trading day today, because this was not a really difficult day. It was fairly obvious that by the time we were going here, this was an uptrend day, at least to this point. It could have turned into a downtrend day, but at this point, up until really right here, this was an uptrend, and by this time the day's over, it's 2:30 in here. So and you got your trend line. You got to follow your trend line rules, and don't be going short down here. Yeah, it could have gone a lot lower. It could have come all the way down here to test this, but it's not worth risking that. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.